Hi, everybody. Welcome to a new week of Eater's Digest. Running back of the house is Willow North. Willow, have you ever tried Olipop or Poppy?
I have drank a shameful amount of Olipop and Poppy, to be completely honest.
There is a running count in my Discord server of how many soda alternatives with pop in the name there are, and we are at 6 so far. There's Olipop,
Really?
Poppy, Popwell, Culture Pop, Mighty Pop, and Big Easy Pop.
That's crazy. I have only heard of about half of those, and I am surprised there are so many.
All right, well, that's all I've got for you to start today. Why don't you hit me with the news?
So our first story this week, we have the Boar's Head Listeria outbreak, which has left 9 dead and 57 hospitalized. I'm sure that you've heard about this. This has been going on for quite some time now. Boar's Head is currently in the midst of this massive recall due to a listeria outbreak traced back to their Jarrett, Virginia facility, where severe hygiene issues have been discovered. This outbreak is the largest in over a decade and has led to 9 deaths and dozens more hospitalizations. Production at the plant has been halted until further notice, and while several lawsuits have emerged, it remains unclear when or if Boar's Head will face any repercussions.
So I believe you know the answer to this, but isn't the plant that this listeria outbreak discovered also in trouble previously for having a bunch of problems in the past?
If we're going to talk about numbers, beyond 9 dead, 57 hospitalized, this facility has had 69 violations in the past year alone. Some of those violations are more bureaucratic paperwork, things like that, but there have also been cited counts of black mold throughout the facility, including in hand washing sinks, blood and fat rancid and stuck to the floors and walls, leaks in the plumbing that have then caused algae blooms beyond that. Just a lot of really, really gnarly stuff.
It's like the sequel to Upton Sinclair's The Jungle, except it'll be like a YouTube video essay instead of a book this time.
Yeah, it'll be Curtis Connor or somebody like that doing it.
I Googled whether listeria was airborne, and the top result from a government agency was like, it is widely believed to be, but it isn't. So that's bad for public perception, good for potentially health, but it goes on to say, well, it does stick to kind of everything it touches, including like the deli meat slicer itself. So, there is a way that you can go and look on your packet of Boar's Head products to see if yours was affected in this recall, but it's one of those things where personally I would be iffy about whatever I bought, even if it isn't included in that recall.
The USDA has come out and said that they have their food safety and inspection service that is supposed to be present in some capacity on the floor of these facilities overseeing these projects. But at the time of this outbreak, the USDA had actually been relying on Boar's Head employees to man these positions rather than USDA employees at these locations.
Yeah, quite literally putting the fox in charge of the chickens.
Yeah. All right, well, we've talked enough about the edible contents of the fridge. I would like to move on to a story about inedible contents in the fridge. Have you heard of this fridge-scaping trend that's been all over social media lately?
I have. Tell everybody else who hasn't all about it.
All right, so this kitschy trend involves decorating not the outside of your refrigerator, but the inside, often with a focus on aesthetics over practicality. This trend has been praised by many as sort of a fun way to romanticize the mundane. However, there are concerns that a focus on this appearance is not only impractical, but can also lead to lapses in important food safety practices.
In my mind, the only people who are liable to try fridge scaping aren't eating a whole lot out of their fridge, so that to me doesn't seem like much of an issue. The first thing that comes to mind with all this is just, I guess, how shocked I often am with how realistic or how explicit or how literal people online seem to take the media that they see, especially on like shorts or TikToks or reels. Yeah, the person who is most popular, I don't know her name, but I know she did one called Fridgerton. That was like the big breakout.
Yes, at Lindsay Living is her name on TikTok. And I actually discovered that it's not just Fridgerton. She's been doing different themes on a regular basis based on different shows. I don't know if it was her, but I did see a Beetlejuice-themed fridge-scaping project. And to be honest, at the start of this, I went in with sort of an open mind and thought, if it makes people happy and it's encouraging people to have an organized fridge and maybe to cook more, then that's great. But the further I went down this rabbit hole, the more just crazy consumerism I kind of find in it. That if these people are doing these different themes every several weeks, that's so much money you spend on decorations for the inside of your refrigerator.
Right. Well, I see it as just one person. Let's just pretend that it's just Lindsay Living doing this. I just see it as her doing it. And it's like, if she's making thousands of dollars per month for doing this, that's fine. That's the cost of doing business. There's a lot of waste involved, but there kind of is in every industry. I think where the problem comes in is this expectation that normal people are also doing it. Or similar to any like trad wife content creator where they're like in really beautiful dresses, perfectly cooking like grilled cheese from scratch and making the cheese themselves, and there's not a stain anywhere, and all the kids are well behaved. Like, I think we in media understand the fakeness involved, or like what's going on behind the curtain in order to make that happen, and the danger comes from people believing what they see to be 100% real and replicable. And it's only slightly related, but the Costco guys, double chunk chocolate chip cookie, AJ and Big Justice. You're looking at me like you don't know who the
I don't know
Costco
what that
guy
is.
Oh, good, lucky you. There was a moment where some behind the scenes footage was exposed, and it's like, oh, look at the Costco guys, and it's the dad teaching the son like, oh, hold on, let's do that one again because you didn't say double chunk chocolate cookie right, and people are like, oh, these guys are so fake. It's like, yeah, obviously everything on social media is fake, and even if it's real and like what you're doing is what you really do in real life, you have to understand that the way in which you have to like I believe that hiking content creators go hiking, but you have to understand that you have to like do the hike, set up the camera, walk back to where you came from, and then do it again. I think that I struggle to grapple with this idea that people don't find that to be apparent.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you. There is definitely a level of like cognitive dissonance there. And I think that that is indeed sort of where the danger lies, because I have seen, regular people try to enact this fridgescaping trend on TikTok and Instagram. But from what I'm seeing, it's not the elaborate things that you're seeing people like Lindsay Living do, but, people thrifting for decor to put in their fridge, a 70s little ceramic egg basket and things like that. And I've seen videos of people being like, oh, look at these thrifted hauls I picked up for my fridge. Let's test them for lead. And lo and behold, they contain lead. They cannot put their food in them.
It does remind me as like the yin to the yang of restocking videos, and we've talked about that on this show before, where it's like you take all of your snack bars out of the container and put them in a new container, you take your milk out of the jug and put it in a self-dispensing jug that has a battery in it so it spits it out, and it's just like that is more of like the ultra efficient TikTok made me buy it type of thing, and the thrifted cutesy crunchy kind of coquettish version of the same flavor of activity is fridgescaping.
At the end of the day, it all circles back to sort of this weird social media consumerism. And honestly, what I would like to see in terms of fridgescaping, why don't people show off the outside of their fridge? I think that tells you a lot about a person, what's on their fridge. That would be more interesting to me than seeing the inside.
Right. Make your kid do some good art and hang it.
There you go. All right. Moving on to the next story, we have digital grocery displays spark controversy due to potentially exploitative surge pricing. Have you seen any digital price displays at any of the grocery stores near you?
I have not in real life yet, but I know that this is a thing because it is a topic that I've covered on a really, really, really old episode of this show back when it was like a live stream show on Twitch. Catch anybody else up who hasn't been familiarized with it.
Right now, we're looking at the United States' largest grocery company, Kroger, who is under fire for adopting dynamic, also known as surge pricing strategies, adjusting prices via electronic displays based on things like demand and time of day. The company has also announced plans to use facial recognition technology to tailor the pricing and promotions to customers based on demographics and shopping patterns. Kroger claims that this is to boost efficiency, but many believe that this raises red flags about privacy and just overall fairness.
I have been on record as saying I don't think surge pricing is a realistic way of framing it. I've always talked about it in terms of dynamic pricing, but to be honest, I like the fact that people are calling it surge pricing because I think the only way that we sort of fight this is by making it culturally unacceptable. I feel like, if you imagine cucumbers, which are all hard to find right now due to the TikTok trend, and if you imagine a scenario in which cucumbers can immediately become $10 each, it's like, well, this product that used to be available to everybody is now a luxury product due to the fact that it's popular right now. And even in a best case scenario, like speaking from an economist's point of view, the best case scenario is every consumer pays the maximum according to what they're willing to pay. That's like a good economic outcome. And so if you have all this data feeding you information like, okay, this customer just had a kid based on how often they're buying diapers and they must be really tired. So why not like raise the price of soda, because we understand that her kid probably wants some soda really badly and they'll do anything that they can to simplify their life at a hectic time such as right now.
Yeah, that is actually one of the biggest points that I'm hearing talked about it. We actually see two senators, Elizabeth Warren from Massachusetts and Bob Casey from Pennsylvania, who wrote a letter directly to the CEO of Kroger. There's a list of 11 questions that they had for Kroger about this dynamic pricing system. I don't have all of the questions here in front of me right now, but basically there's a lot of concern over adequate data protection in terms of, what they're getting from these people. Like you said, the diapers, the kids, the soda. And really they are, wondering how they're going to establish these factors for pricing and whether or not they will inform customers about these changes, or whether it's just something people are going to notice at the grocery store and never be told about.
Right. And I think no matter what happens, those who buy groceries frequently and attentively will adapt accordingly. But I do worry for the people who are getting into cooking and grocery shopping for the first time, who already struggle with this idea that it's like $50 worth of groceries to make a cheeseburger at home that they could get for $2, and now have to contend with the idea that, oh, you're never really supposed to buy beef on Wednesdays. Everybody knows you have to buy beef on Thursdays. And I feel like going to slip into the culture really well and really easily, especially because a lot of these tags that I've seen online are with e-ink. So it's like you can just kind of barely tell that they're digital displays to begin with, and maybe people won't notice.
Yeah, it's really tricky. It definitely feels very exploitative. And at the end of the day, it feels very Big Brother-esque for these softwares to just be determining how much people are willing to pay, how much price gouging people will tolerate before they get upset about it.
Right. I do shop at Kroger a lot. I am like a Kroger power user. I signed up for something called Boost, which gets you free delivery for the year for any order over $35. And as part of your annual rewards, they send you a bunch of coupons for the products that you buy the most of, including like free trail mix, free milk. And so for a week, I was just like, wow, I got a bunch of free groceries. And that felt great. But it does bring to the forefront this idea that your shopping trends are being very heavily monitored. And I remember this old story from like 20 years ago where Target, I think, got in trouble for mailing baby formula or diaper coupons to women who didn't realize they were even pregnant yet, that the data that they were collecting was so rich that they could tell that a woman was pregnant before the woman herself could. And yeah, it comes down to this idea that like you just don't want consumers to ever be surprised by something like this. And so the easing in of this cultural shift is, I think, very much by design so that nobody feels surprised. But I'm going to wave as many red flags as I can that say we don't want dynamic pricing in the grocery store. And I hear people present it in ways where it's like, oh, well, imagine there's 2 loaves of bread and one is half price because it's a day old. But that already exists. Bread goes on sale. They put it on the sale counter. And so I don't see that positive side of things. I only see negatives.
Yeah, I think that this is one area that we just simply don't need to digitize. I understand the argument that, if they have these digital price tags, somebody can update them from an office instead of walking around the whole facility. But on top of just taking user data to adjust pricing, things like weather, the idea that you could walk into Kroger on 100-degree summer day and a pint of Ben and Jerry's is $15 instead of $6 or $7 like it normally is, or bottled water being $4 or $5 a bottle on a hot day.
Well, regardless of what the price is, we know that there are always going to be brand new items on the store shelves. So please tell me what the new items to look forward to today are.
All right, this week for you, I have Baja Blast Gelato, Cinnamon Toast Crunch Bacon, and Heinz Carbonara in a can.
Okay, so the Baja Blast Gelato, I have seen many people in real life and many people in my Discord server all trying it, and I think virtually 100% of the people who have tried it say it's good, but very, very expensive because it's like this big and like $5 or $6. So I think that one's out. It's not going to last long. It'll be a blip in everybody's memory. out of the three, I would most readily try the cinnamon toast crunch bacon. I am interested in the idea of cinnamon in bacon. I've been putting cinnamon, nutmeg, and mesquite in more products these days. I just boiled some chicken. I'll say poached some chicken so it sounds less gross. I put some cinnamon and ginger in that, kind of pho vibes. I've been putting cinnamon in my beef for kofta vibes, and I'm just trying to get used to this idea of cinnamon in savory applications more, and I'm really enjoying the outcomes so far. It is kind of concerning that Cinnamon Toast Crunch, the brand, has such a strong chokehold on the branding of cinnamon itself that adding cinnamon to a product makes it Cinnamon Toast Crunch. But I don't know. I know you won't pick this one as a vegetarian. So what is it? Carbonara in a can for you?
I don't know about that either, to be honest, although that is only available in the UK as of right now. So that's something we don't have to worry about seeing on our shelves. However, I was surprised to find that they are indeed using pancetta in it, which we know that guanciale is, the traditional one. But I'm honestly just blown away that they didn't use bacon.
Well, the culture in the UK surrounding Heinz products in cans is one that I'm not even willing to touch because that's who makes their favorite breakfast beans, I believe, in the blue can.
Yes.
And so whenever you talk about beans on toast being maybe something that you're not interested in, then you stir up the ire of an entire group of people. And I guess combining that with the ire that you stir up from Italians when you mess with things like carbonara, this is something I want nothing to do with, nothing to comment on, and not to try at all.
Lucky for us, it seems like it is universally being described as pretty disgusting.
Oh, okay, good, good. All right, well, thank you for your time. Thank you for your contributions. Excellent as always, and I'll see you all hopefully next week.
Awesome. I'll see you next week.